Hello friends, and welcome to a very important video of my life, and I suppose anyone who is trying to get interested in VR. This is the review of the HTC Vive VR virtual headset that you buy for a computer that you've already paid thousands into, and then you spend thousands on the actual HTC Vive. Welcome! Let's start! Well, guys, if you can feel from my tone, I'm a little bit, how do I say, disappointed in the prices, price performance for this device. Guys, the HTC Vive is very expensive. At $1,300 is a huge setback when you also have to spend a lot of money on your computer to manage to have the performance to run this piece of wonderful technology. But once you have all that and you don't worry about money, and I suppose if you've already spent the money and you already have the device and you might be watching this video to get a bit of sense of what everybody else is feeling, well then, guys, this is awesome! This is the best thing I've ever used. I am amazed at what it can do, not really surprised what it can't do, but I have had a blast with this device and all the games that have come with it. I've never spent so much money on Steam games until this thing arrived, because I thought Steam was a rip-off, but you know, once you're locked into this, you can only buy games on Steam, blah blah blah. But guys, I have to say, this has been an experience and a half. Why has it been an experience? Well, first of all, setting it up was an absolute mish, and I love solving problems, and this is what it was, a bit of problem solving, bit of issues with setup, where to put the scanners, where to stand, and how to get the joysticks to work. I call them joysticks, they're kind of wands or whatever you want to call them, but it was a bit of a mishmash of updates, plugging in USB cables, and trying to connect everything together. But once I got it working, and once I put on those goggles, I was disappointed by the resolution. Yes, it's not a 4K screen, it's not really something that's going to take away the pixelations of some things, but boy oh boy, once the lights went out and all the darkness, 5 minutes in, I was completely immersed in the experience I had right there and then. I was just so blown away of how smooth, how interactive, and how much it felt like I was actually there. For example, The Lab. It's one of the free games that comes with Steam. You can basically download it straight off the spot, and use it with your Vive. One of the games inside there is basically an archery game where you have a bow and you have the arrow and you put it in, you pull back, and you shoot at little monsters trying to attack your castle. The monsters are flat people or some sort, and this thing was a blast. I spent hours and hours just continually replaying the same game over and over again, trying to get higher and higher in the levels, blah blah blah, you know, your waves and things like that. It was an absolute blast. I really thoroughly enjoyed how that game went and how I felt playing that game, and to be honest, I felt fatigued. I got tired. My hands got tired. You know when you pull a bow back in real life and you feel that strain of pulling it back? You'd think it wouldn't exist in, you know, VR when the two wands aren't connected and you pull across. Well, when I did, I felt like I had to strain because, oh, I'm pulling this bow back. It's just amazing how visual things can actually sort of make you feel like you're there or you're pulling. My hands were aching after every session of that game. I was just completely immersed, and now in 40-degree weather in Perth, it's nuts. You get bloody sweaty, and it's just amazing how immersed and how much time I spent playing this particular game. Now, guys, don't get me wrong, there is so many other experiences out there. Some of them I have mentioned that are basically half-cut, not complete, basically demos, beta alphas of what you can do, but there is some absolute gems out there. There is a zombie game that is zombie simulator that is actually fantastic. You just got hordes and waves of zombies coming against you. You get to throw grenades, meat to distract them, lots of guns, lots of variations. Then you get the things like Raw Data, which is a game all about the realism of shooting robots. Absolutely fantastic. And I had a shotgun in that game. I had, you know, the gun in one hand and I had to use the other one to cock it. It was just, oh, it was so immersive. And I guess somebody who's not my age, maybe a little bit younger, that jumps into this and says, oh yeah, this is cool, it's quite normal. I can really see that happening, especially for someone who came from VR not existing in the first place and going into it. It was just blowing. I was blown away of the quality of it. And I showed my father, my 50-year-old father, and he was completely amazed how far technology has come in his time as opposed to my time. Like for me, this is new and cool and fun, but for him, it was that sort of watching those 90s, 80s sci-fis and going all that VR shit was absolutely amazing to him, and really enjoyed his game sessions of the zombie simulator, and I got him to play a horror game which absolutely blew him away. Even myself, when I was playing one of these horror zombie killing games, I got pretty freaked out. There's another game where you're in a room and there's this doll chasing you and popping up at random moments in dark rooms. Guys, you'd think you're not gonna be scared. You're gonna be very, very scared. Trust me, it gets very immersive very quickly as long as your eyes forgive that sort of pixelation that I have to mention as one of the drawbacks. So what else is a drawback apart from the experience that I keep raving on about? Well, first of all, the straps on the back of the Vive are not so good. They're pretty crap, to be honest. And I guess one of the things that Vive is coming out only now, almost a year and a bit after the Vive came out, they're bringing out a nice strap that's more of a twisty thing instead of a zip type thing, which is, well, look, I'm keen to get it and I'm hoping it comes out. The other major thing of this is that the device, or rather the headset, well, it's tethered. You are connected to the HDMI, the USB, and the audio all through a cable that's not very long at all. And I understand why. I mean, HDMIs can only go so far without having a lag, a latency, and issues with visualization. If you're watching a movie on a TV, it won't be an issue, but try moving a mouse on a HDMI connected TV about 10 meters away and you'll notice the lag. Now imagine that making you feel sick when you're playing the game. It's a distraction and all. So I guess I understand why the cable is long, and that's why I bought one of these things over here that puts a HDMI in the front, and I'll talk about that in another video, how I had to mod it to look good. You can see the review right over here of the Gigabyte front panel HDMI USB 3 for VR. But the other thing that bothered me, well, it was the amount of setup. Now, I can't keep this in this room. The room's a bit too small. It's a room scale experience, so I created the room scale experience in my living room, and the setup and takedown is quite tedious. Now, I explained that in this video over here about setting it up and taking it down. It is quite tedious, so that's a negative. But look, once you're playing the Vive, once you're really enjoying it, you really won't care to set it up again. You'll probably be very excited to play it. What else can I say that is, well, am I selling this to you? I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm trying to tell you about the experience, which is what this is. This isn't something you're gonna play every day. It's something you're gonna jump on a Friday night or Saturday morning even, just before you get to do any other things. You jump on, you play, and you enjoy your time. It's not competitive. You're not going to be getting levels or anything like that. You're not going to be playing continuous games that you want to come back to and continue playing. This is not The Witcher. This is not something like StarCraft and you've got competition. This is not Heroes of the Storm. This is an experience of individual little mini games that really show you what it can do and what kind of fun you can have. So if you are thinking that you're going to buy this and play every day, please rethink your decision, and trust me, don't get disappointed when it goes in a box and sits in your cupboard for about a week or two, because this is not one of those things that you play every day. You take it out, have an awesome blast playing game, and another game, or you play something new that came out that week, but you're not going to continuously play it. So then, Patrick, why would I buy this if I'm not going to play it every day? And I guess this is where it comes down to the conclusion of this whole saga of VR. If people don't buy it and don't get into it and don't play those small experiences once a week or twice a month, then this will go nowhere. VR will be dead in the water. It takes people like myself who buy it, spend money on it, and not really use it that often to really get the industry going, to them, for example, put more money in it and get the mainstream excited and get them all using it. Once that happens, games like continuous games like The Witcher, where there's RPG aspect to it, will really take off in a VR world and get you all immersed. Now look, I've thought of games that could work really well for this. All it takes is a lot of people to get involved, spend some money on other games, and once the economy side of it picks up, there'll be demand, and people, the developers, the companies will make more and more games. Now I believe it's going that way. It's heading in that direction of going mainstream. I mean, look at PlayStation, Sony, they have brought out their own VR headset, and of course there is other companies doing the same, 4K displays from, I think, LG or one of those random ass companies is going into VR now. But guys, the Vive versus the Oculus Rift, it's really not much of a choice. Both do VR scale, both have great wands. I suppose the Vive is a little bit older, and I suppose the Oculus Rift is now a little bit cheaper from what I've seen. But because we're in Australia, unfortunately the Vive is the only thing available. PLE and JB have them, and the Oculus is still from America. You gotta pay the American tax and the American money. Obviously the exchange rate isn't the best at the moment. So guys, it is a hard decision, but personally, if you are getting a room scale device, the Vive has been at it for longer. It is something that's been doing it very well for a lot longer. And the Oculus Rift, you gotta buy a few more extras to get the room scale, about 3 of those little pinpoint cameras. This already comes with it, it's already ready to go, which is really good. Out of the box, you can have room scale. Now, one of the things that I look forward in the future is that a wireless solution for the Vive, which is in the work. At CES, they showed off a wireless version of the Vive, which had a unit out the back and a battery pack to your chest or side, and apparently that worked really, really well. So once something like that comes out, it'll be really cool to see where Vive takes on. And one of the things that I will have to point out that makes the Vive better than the Oculus, and look, not technically or specification wise, but the fact that there are manufacturers creating accessories for the Vive rather than the Oculus, and that's something you have to take maybe with a grain of salt. But if there are companies betting their accessories on a certain brand, you might want to go with that brand because it's supported. Now, I'm sure Oculus has the backing of Facebook, but so far the Vive, I think, has been winning. And look, it's probably like 51% to 41%, but it is pushing forward. So once this goes wireless, and once we can get perfect room scale without having a huge space, this will be the way to go. And I'm looking forward to seeing what VR has in the future. And guys, I guess final thoughts is that this is awesome. Very, very expensive. You have to have a good computer to run it, but man, is it worth it. The experience itself is fantastic. But remember, these aren't games that you're going to continuously play every day. This might sit in your cupboard or sit on the couch for a little while before you touch it again. These are mini games, mini experiences, and mini fun things to do when you're a bit bored. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys subscribe, see more content. I'm not asking you to subscribe, I hope you do because of the content, not because you just want to press subscribe or that I ask you to. And there's a lot more content coming in the future. Did a giveaway, there'll be more coming soon. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.